story was pitched to us by Buster Olney, a senior writer of ESPN, the magazine, who's also an analyst on Baseball Tonight. But this is not a baseball story. Buster.
One of my first jobs at the Nashville Banner was covering City College basketball. And one of the teams I covered was David Lipscomb College, and the head basketball coach at that time was a coach named Don Meyer. He's the greatest coach that nobody knows. And to me, Coach Meyer's story is the best story in college basketball this year.
It was just like a bomb went off in the middle of the road. You saw a pool of blood on the floor.
I didn't know if he was alive or what was going on.
For the town of Aberdeen, South Dakota, and 64-year-old Don Meyer, head basketball coach at Northern State University, this past season was supposed to be about making history, breaking Bob Knight's NCAA coaching record for all-time wins in men's basketball.
We were all excited. We all, of course, knew we were close. We had plans to, win straight through, and it's just special being part of that.
Don Meyer is not a household name. He chose to spend his 38-year coaching career at small colleges, including David Lipscomb in Nashville, where he won the NAIA National Championship in 1986. For the past 9 years, Meyer coached Division II Northern State. His summer camps and coaching clinics are among the nation's highest attended. NBA coaches use his instructional videos. In basketball circles, Meyer is an icon.
If I were an athletic director in one of the major conferences, he's the first guy I would have talked to about trying to come with me if I was looking for a coach. He's an extremely good coach. And I don't say that about a lot of people.
When I started coaching at Tennessee, I was 22 years old. I had 4 players, 21, that were seniors. And I'd never coached a day in my life. He taught me how to teach others how to play the game. So did Coach Meyer help me? Tremendously.
Of the more than 200 young men who have played for Meyer in his 38 years, only one didn't graduate. All who played for him quickly learned that Meyer would relentlessly test their limits.
I can remember going back to my dorm room and just being smacked, grabbing my pillow, and just imagine it as his face just pounding him in the ground and enjoying it, And but at the same time, I knew he was right.
This past September 5th, before a season Meyer was going to make history, the Northern State basketball team had left for its annual retreat at a hunting lodge 25 miles off campus. They traveled in 6 cars. Meyer drove the lead car alone. Just minutes before reaching their destination, driving at more than 50 miles per hour on South Dakota Highway 20, Meyer fell asleep. His car drifted into the path of an oncoming semi hauling 90,000 pounds of grain.
I remember thinking to myself, coach is gonna bring it back. He's gonna get back into his lane. That's when I remember hearing the crash.
It was just like a bomb went off in the middle of the road.
After impact, the truck veered into a field, its driver uninjured. Meyer's car spun off the road.
I just remember putting the car in park and just running over the car.
The younger players formed a prayer circle and helped direct traffic. The older players tended to Meyer, who was pinned in the wreckage. An assistant coach climbed into the car. Help was 30 minutes away.
He wanted us to all know, how sorry he was, and like he said, one of the first things he could muster, he said, was everyone okay?
You'd see him try to take a deep breath and concentrate on his breathing. We were just there to encourage him.
Meyer's wife of 41 years, Carmen, rushed to the hospital. All of Meyer's ribs were broken. Blood filled his chest. His spleen was destroyed, his diaphragm torn, his left leg shattered. Meyer was barely clinging to life. Doctors had him transported to a trauma center 200 miles south.
They said to me, we just think maybe you should go in and say goodbye to Don before we take him. And I said, well, I've already done that. And so I thought that they might be thinking that would be the last time that I would see him alive.
After 5 hours of surgery, 10 hours after the accident, Meyer was alive. His condition critical.
When was your first knowledge that you were seriously hurt?
It's so hard to put a timeline on anything when you're in ICU. Because you're just trying to breathe. I had a neck brace on. I couldn't call for the nurse. I couldn't do anything. I mean, I was just laying there.
The doctor told Carmen that during surgery, they had found something unexpected.
He said, did you know your husband has cancer? And I mean, I was just floored. At that point, it was like, just go ahead and hit me with a 2x4 because, I mean, I just couldn't believe it.
The cancer was spread throughout Meyer's liver and small intestine and was inoperable.
At one point, Don did start crying a little bit. We all at that point were crying a little bit. And he said, I'm not scared. He said, it's just a lot to take in right now. He says, I'm okay, and he handled it great.
Back on campus, the relief that Meyer had survived was short-lived. Assistant coach Randy Baruth called a team meeting to break the news of Meyer's cancer.
Can you describe that meeting?
Telling him was very difficult. Because they came here for him. And after everything all these kids had went through and the resolve and the resilience that they had, you just didn't know how much more they could handle with it all.
Well, it was emotional. I mean, that's the one guy you look at as your rock, you know what I mean? And just to find out that he's vulnerable in a physical sense, that's tough.
Meyer's 3 children, Jerry, Brooke, and Brittany, all in their 30s with children of their own, flew from their homes in Tennessee to be with their father.
He had tubes in his throat, so he couldn't speak. And he couldn't move except to just wiggle his right hand. And so we put a pen in his hand, and Jerry had a piece of paper, and he wrote on the piece of paper, how long before I can coach?
Before he could return to coaching, before they could tackle the cancer, doctors said Meyer's broken body needed to heal. He showed improvement, but a severed artery in Meyer's left leg was too much to overcome. 14 days after the wreck, doctors amputated Meyer's leg 8 inches below the knee.
There we go. There we go. Wasn't worth resting.
He faced intense rehabilitation and uncertainty about when the cancer would start to take its toll on his body. After 8 weeks in the hospital, Meyer was told he would be going home.
2 months, a long time.
I'll tell you how excited he is to get home and go to practice. Last night in the middle of the night, it was about 2 o'clock, and he said, Carmen? And I said, yes. I said, what do you need? And he said, I can't wait to go to practice Friday morning. And I said, well, I'm glad. Can we talk about it later?
On October 30th, he was released from the hospital. The very next day, Coach Meyer was back at work at 4:45 a.m.
I think it's what kept me going. Probably what kept me going was my family and all the former players and friends that never let me spend a night alone. And you know, getting back to coach and to work with these guys.
Now we take a shot with Mitch over here. We have
Coach is back. Blows the whistle. And he just made the comment, I mean, you can't even get that rebound? I could have got it in my wheelchair. You know, that sort of thing. You knew he was back.
Gee, Christmas, how many times we have to work on this stuff?
I love to see how a team can improve and kids can improve, so that's why I coach. I mean, there's nothing better than that. I mean, it just eats you up inside how lucky you can be coaching kids. And we need to have a great warm-up doing those things there if we want to do them in the game.
The season began, and Coach Meyer didn't miss a single game. The team went 12-4 before finally reaching the day everybody was waiting for.
We are packed in here pretty good here tonight for what the Wolves hope will be a very historic night for Northern men's basketball and for Coach Meyer.
This past January 10th, the town of Aberdeen filled the Northern State Gym to see Meyer, 4 months after the wreck that almost took his life, accomplish something no NCAA men's coach had ever done.
You deny the high post. You just let him catch it.
With just under 3 minutes left in the game, Northern State up by 17, it was clear history would be made.
Listen to the fans here at the Barnett Center all on their feet. The game isn't over yet. And now it is. There it is, Northern State.
Meyer had broken the record for most career wins in men's NCAA basketball.
For Don Meyer, 9:03. Basketball history.
We're never going to be able to thank all of you, but you need to know how much it means to us, and you need to keep praying for, you know, the leg to recover and the cancer maybe to go away. But most of all, you need to pray that we can all keep the spirit that you people have exhibited toward our family and toward our team.
Northern State finished the season 19-11. The Wolves were eliminated after the first round of the Division II tournament. Meyer is in the process of being prepared for a prosthetic leg and is not yet experiencing symptoms from the cancer. He intends to keep doing what he loves most. He plans to actively recruit this summer and return to the sidelines in the fall, forever changed.
You go through what I went through with this, you're going to get emotional, you're going to cry a little more, you're going to hug people, you're going to want to say what's important to people before they leave, because you might never get a chance again to say it. It was a blessing in a lot of ways for me. It's made me a different person.